Please rise. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silence for our sick, handicapped, military personnel recently departed of our community. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Verducci. Here. Mr. Gallarducci. Ms. Cimaroli. Mr. Ferry. Here. Mr. Franchik. Here. Mr. Henderson. Here. Mr. Sarasik. Here. Mayor Copeland. Here. Solicitor McDermott. Here. Engineer Kyle. Here. Sergeant James. Here. Fire Department. Chief Miller. Here.
All right, thank you. Visitors, Nick.
Good evening, my name is Nick Wyszynski. I live at 734 Maple Street, Fairfield, PA 15017. As I said, I live on Maple Street, and some of the news that came down from our federal government and state government this last week wanted to raise the concerns to what are we doing about our flood mitigation now that we may or may not be losing a rather large sum of funding. Are there any plans to address that, or are there any implications that we will be taking towards our federal government for the spending that we have procured already?
I have a statement that I'll be talking in a few minutes.
I'm glad to hear that. Thank you very much, and I hope that it's swift and actionable. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. Thanks. Mr. Valentino.
Morning, Nick. Fred Valentino, 251 May Avenue, Bridgeville, PA. I want to tell you a story. Early 50s, my mother and I are sitting on the couch, hear this knock on the door. It's the fire department. We lived on Irwin Avenue at the end of Carroll Avenue. Knock on the door. I opened the door. It's the fire department in a canoe with an oar saying, "You better evacuate." My mother and I hopped out the back window. I slept on Washington Avenue in my aunt's house. It was 1950s. Fast forward to 2018. Flood hits again. My son and I had to evacuate a handicapped man, off of the front porch, 2018. They took him to the fire department, I believe, where he stayed that night with his mother. I'd like, Joe, for you to listen to this. You tell me if I'm wrong. 18 months ago, Bridgeville got notification from Joe Biden's office through his economic plan that $5 million was awarded to Bridgeville to build a flood wall. As they say in the Shawshank Redemption, hope is a dangerous thing. I had hope. Trump is elected. He pulls the $5 million from Bridgeville that would help at least 50 families and businesses. Pulls it for no reason other than it's frivolous. Now we sit here with zero money. Is that accurate or not?
We're not sitting here with zero money, but we're definitely taking a big step backward if this goes through.
And I understand that all of the representatives have been contacted,
Yes,
Summerlee, etc.
correct. And Joe will speak to.
Okay, now you
Yeah.
say you have, okay.
But
And I'll sit down because I want to hear this. But
No, I can appreciate your passion for this.
Okay.
We all have
Because
the
I'm
same
pissed
passion.
off.
So are we.
I am pissed off at Donald Trump for doing this to Bridgeville. And I'm surprised the whole chamber isn't filled with people down here. And I want to thank you, Bill, for putting that on Facebook. or where I saw it on Facebook. I don't know, again, I don't know what you're going to say, but has Chartiers Valley Flood Control been contacted?
As a representative of the Flood Authority, we didn't get to that level yet.
Okay, I'm throwing that out there, and I want to say
Yeah,
that similar to the Shade Tree Commission, which I understand is on the docket tonight, maybe we could get a Chartiers Valley Commission or something to get some friggin' money into this borough to put a wall up that we had in front of us.
yeah. Well, let's
Okay,
go
I'm
through
gonna
this,
sit
and then
down.
I'll plug
Because
in the missing pieces.
my wife said, don't swear, but I'm about this close to swearing.
I'll tell her you didn't.
Thank you for that passionate speech. Rich?
Hi, Rich Poplawski, Elm Street, Bridgeville. I didn't know that was going on with the money being pulled. That's like a very pressing issue, and I'm really sorry I wasn't aware of it, and that's very concerning. I remember things that have happened here even when I was a kid, with flooding, and there's a lot of stuff going on with drought. I don't know. I usually come to talk about the school board, and it was going to be brief tonight. The drivers still haven't heard anything. They're not negotiating, and if these drivers get laid off, they don't collect unemployment, and we think they're waiting to do it over the summer. So there's like 10 drivers, at least in Bridgeville, that won't even collect unemployment. I'm also concerned what they're going to be doing with our school resource officers. Officer Abel from Scott Township is the school resource officer for the intermediate school, but since they've decided to subcontract our security, there's been a different kind of security. I believe it's Kellington, nothing against them, but I think we need our own in-house security, and we absolutely need our police officers in the school. I think that would be such a bad thing to remove them, and I've been hearing rumors that that is next on the step for that to happen. And that can't happen. I know Bridgeville doesn't have, there's no buildings in Bridgeville, but that's important. Officer Abel has been really a great friend of my son at the school, and losing our officers in the school would be unsafe and just wrong. I would like to read something a letter that I received related to the school board. This is to Timothy L. DeFore, the Auditor General of Pennsylvania. Auditor General DeFore, we write to you with our concerns about the Chartiers Valley School District in Allegheny County. Recent media reports tell the district facing a multi-million-dollar budget deficit that has led to the school board to take action last month, including furloughing several administrative staff, 1% of education support professionals, and up to 20 teachers. While as state elected officials, we understand the complexity of school budgeting and the difficult decisions that elected school board members must make, we were compelled to contact you on behalf of the many constituents who live within the Chartiers Valley School District, who have called, emailed, and reached out to us personally to voice their frustration with the governance and the financial oversight of the district. The most recent state audit of Chartiers Valley School District, conducted by the defunct Bureau of School Audits, was released 6 years ago and covered the period of July 1st, 2013 through June 30th, 2017. The taxpayers and families of Chartiers Valley School District deserve to know whether the district has complied with all relevant financial and budgeting requirements of the public school code, and whether the school board has acted appropriately as fiduciaries of public money. Therefore, we request that your office perform an audit of the governance and financial oversight of Chartiers Valley School District as soon as possible. Thank you, and we look forward to your response. And this letter was signed by State Senator Wayne Fontana, Representative Daniel Deasy, and Representative Anita Colquitt. So this is from a lot of us going to the offices, visiting and visiting again. And I mentioned when I called for an audit in front of the whole school board, and I was looked at, and the superintendent looked at me and said, "Good luck with that." So I don't know if this means it's going to happen, but I've been on the road visiting these offices, calling, emailing. When there's something wrong, I figured it's time to stand up. So at least somebody's paying attention. And if any of you supported us, I don't know who, whatever, thank you, and I appreciate it. I appreciate anyone who's reached out, because I think it's starting to make a difference. Whether it's going to keep the drivers or keep the cops in the school, I don't know. But if you go like I've been, you can sort of see that something just isn't right going on there. So I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you,
So
Rich.
we'd like This is a statement from our council that we'd like to put out there in the public. We as the council feel it is important to speak out and share what we've recently learned regarding a critical issue facing our community. In 2023, FEMA selected Bridgeville's McLaughlin Run Flood Control Project, Phase 1, to be awarded $5.33 million in Building Resilient Infrastructure and Communities, known as BRIC, funding. In addition to this FEMA funding, the borough was awarded another $1.87 million in state grants and dedicated municipal funds towards this $7 million vital flood mitigation project. This project is designed to protect our residents and their homes, businesses, as well as to support redevelopment on the north end of our town, bringing much needed services and amenities to the community. In addition, again, to stress, to help those residents and their homes with those businesses. As part of the FEMA grant process starting in late 2023, at the directive of FEMA, we have completed several comprehensive and ongoing environmental and historical assessments and responses to FEMA's construction plan reviews. In addition to ensure that the project stays on schedule as FEMA's funding had been dedicated to, the borough invested well over $200,000 to the engineering necessary to secure DEP, Army Corps of Engineers permits, and legal clearances that included right-of-way acquisition from over a dozen property owners. This figure does not include the hundreds of hours of our borough manager, Joe Carr, who is dedicated to preparing extensive documentation and coordinating communications of this project. Here is the example. That whole packet Joe has spent hours and hours and hours putting together. However, we were recently informed that there is now a strong possibility that the FEMA funds will not be released due to a blanket no release of funds decision. This is unacceptable. Our taxpayers should not be penalized after making such a significant investment in both time and money. We are calling our residents to contact their federal representatives, Senators McCormick and Fetterman, Congressman Woman Lee, and Governor Shapiro, who have expressed full support for this borough and urge them to advocate for common sense and action. We must move this project forward for the safety and the future of our community. Excuse me. I mean, this isn't even half of what Joe's been doing, and the staff and everybody else. It's just unacceptable that we spent taxpayers' money, $200,000, for the right to be able to do this grant and make sure it was getting done. Unacceptable. So please, spread the word, have them contacted. We've talked to all of these representatives. They're aware of our dissatisfaction and have received calls now, but we're trying to spread the word even more. Please help us spread the word, make those phone calls, and let them get notified that we need this grant. There's no reason that they should uphold this funding at all. Yes, Nick?
Is there a place we'll make this available online to share with the rest of our community members?
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Maybe instead of having a on the avenue, this year you should have a Bridgeville protest out there and have everybody in the community protest this crap.
To who though?
Well, I'm sure the news network would pick it up.
We've contacted a few different resources, and we're passing this on to them as well. So,
You know, we're always down there when Wall Street floods and taking pictures of that stuff. So
well, and that was all included in a lot of this stuff that was
yeah.
there. Okay. Does anybody else have anything on council to say in addition to that? Okay. All right. Thank you. Sorry, it really made me upset. Oh, thank you. I also
Excuse me,
need
Joe, can I
to...
ask you a question?
Sure, sir.
So, I noticed that Mahoney across the street has already started to put some dirt to make a levee. Is it possible to plan to put some dirt to build a 10-foot wall along this side of the creek?
But that's what this whole project is.
I understand that, but if we're not gonna get a wall, there has to be some protection for the people and the businesses that live on this side of the creek.
And then maybe we could explain why the borough hasn't put out an official announcement yet, because we do not have an official letter in hand saying that the project's been canceled. We do have receipt of a FEMA press release saying that the project, that they are holding BRIC funding and taking back all projects that haven't been released funds. That would include ours. The actual grantee for BRIC funding, that's what the acronym, is the state. It's PEMA. The borough is a sub-applicant, so the borough gets the directives and everything from the state. Governor Shapiro is very much involved with trying to do what they can to find some type of reversal. We have yet to get notice from the state, and the state has yet to get the official denial letter that it's taken back. We just know what FEMA put on their website. So we didn't get the official letter in hand to say the project's canceled. We're all hanging our hat on the hopes that we can get this reversed, like a number of the administrative changes that you've seen recently in the news where they fired this group of people and realized, oh, maybe we shouldn't have fired them, and that was the wrong decision, and they're back to the table the next week. So the governor talking to PEMA today saying, we're doing everything we can to try to talk sense into people to see if this can be reversed. And that's why we have yet to come out and say it's denied. We really don't have the official denial letter. We have what we saw in the newspaper from FEMA, a press release, but they have yet to send you your denial letter saying, hey, this has been officially taken away. And I asked the state for that today, and the state said, very frank, that the governor is involved in doing what he can to try to reverse that, so they're holding out hope that this can be reversed. So we're asking you all, just as Joe was saying, to please call your federal level, not the state, other than the governor's office, Senator McCormick, Senator Fetterman's office, and Congresswoman Lee. They are all aware, and they're trying to outline alternative routes that we can take. So we're hopeful that this isn't dead in the water. This is not a speed bump. This is a huge pothole in the road that we're going to have to get over, and it's going to put us behind. But the people that are in the driver's seat that will have the ear of the administration are doing what they can to try to shed light that this isn't some silly political pet project, that the very few state projects that receive BRIC funding were vital infrastructure projects that go into detail with like what you were saying. So that's where we're at with this. I wish I had more news, but it's been rather fluid as you've been seeing. And we're catching stuff like through the news and through secondhand from a guy who talks from a guy at FEMA. I don't have your normal, this is your denial letter, like we usually get when funding's denied. We never had a project selected and gone through 20 months of environmental and historical reviews that put John through the ringer, and this is unheard of, and it's unheard of times in our state and in our country. We see that when you turn on the TV every night. So we're hopeful that something's going to change. There's some people saying that BRIC program is going to go away, and then the projects that did have credibility were going to be directed to something else. Then you hear some people saying, hey, just reapply, you got to start all over again. So it's very fluid and fresh, and it's a good thing, but also a bad thing. You guys are finding out at the same time I'm trying to find out and try to do something. It's very difficult. So that's really the brunt of straightforwardness is you're going to get from us, because is everything we know. It's very disheartening because we've dedicated a lot to it. And what makes it even more bizarre is there's no secret. Councilwoman Cimaroli every month eloquently asks me, is our funding safe, once the change in administration? And we have bi-weekly check-ins with our PEMA contacts, and they make John and I jump through hoops pretty much once a month. And last Thursday, April 3rd, I wasn't getting my normal update from my FEMA guy. So Congresswoman Lee's office was very responsive, and her grant contact has a contact at FEMA that was able to get me an update on April 3rd in the evening that says in black and white, no, you're going through now another environmental assessment John's going to have to do. So I come in early morning on the 4th. Joe, Councilman Verducci's at ALOM conference, and there's talk at ALOM, that's where all the towns get together and go over conferences and workshop. And there's talk there that federal funding is going to be starting taken back from people. So Joe checks in and goes, where are we at? I said, hey, I got an email here from Summer Lee's office, black and white, we're still a go, we're going to have to do another environmental assessment. And my quote to Joe on the morning of April 4th was, I don't care, as long as we're a go, I'll make John jump through some more hoops, you know? And then that was it. And then literally 4 hours later, I'm done with lunch, I get to my computer, I get an email from FEMA, our guy at FEMA saying, hey, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but my guy at FEMA says there's an internal memo going around FEMA saying that all the brick projects for 24 are canceled, so if you applied, they're not awarding. It's like, okay, that's a methodical budget move, okay, accept the things, but we've had that at the state level, where they solicit proposals, but budgets didn't work out at the state level, so they don't award, okay? But then it went on to say, projects going all the way back to 2022 that were dedicated, but yet had funding not committed or released yet, or reneged, or basically taken back, and all funds go back to the Treasury. So I told Joe that update. And then that evening, they wait till Friday the 4th, after the close of business. There's a very unorthodox website post on FEMA's national website that calls the BRIC program a politicized, wasteful grant program, and they're trying to realign the FEMA funding with what lines up with executive orders, because this program is wasteful. And I think that's essentially what their news release said. And then you saw over the weekend of the 5th and the 6th, other towns getting the word like we're getting. So then we reach out through Senator Robinson to Senator McCormick. McCormick is in Pittsburgh. I have to get all the details because it really paints the whole picture. So Monday morning, 7 o'clock Monday morning, I get Senator Robinson out of bed. I said, hey, I got a problem here, saying I need you to get a hold of Senator McCormick's office. I've been trying. I can't get through to anyone. So he gets through to his Western Pennsylvania regional director, and he says, Senator McCormick has a meeting in Pittsburgh. I will meet with him, and I'll get this addressed. So at least we get someone on the phone that can have an ear to the administration to figure out what can we do here to get to the level that we understand you want to clean a program, but clean a program with a scalpel, don't clean it with a sledgehammer. So he was very good with getting it to McCormick's folks. McCormick's folks were now Monday, Tuesday of last week, come out and say, hey, we understand there's an issue here, we're on it, we're going to see what we can do. And then same time, then Summer Lee's folks are coming to the table, and then John Fetterman's folks are now coming to the table, and so now we got those folks. Tuesday morning, I'm able to get a hold of the governor's office. The governor's office understands the priority of it because the grant is actually to the state. Later in the week, I get an update from Summer Lee's office. Summer Lee's office saying, we've been talking to the governor. The governor is doing what they can to do this. So Summer Lee is really getting the governor fired up and getting it moving, and it was really making progress. So it ends the week of last week. What's that put us at? Friday, you know? So it puts us at, when we left here, our close of business on Friday was McCormick staff is saying, it isn't looking good, apply for another FEMA grant. I'm like, well, there's got to be a source here. That brings us into this morning. So this morning I checked with FEMA, because that's the one who's going to know where we're at with the project. They are the grantee. he says, we don't have an official denial letter, we just have like this web post and the internal memo that was given to them saying that brick grants are taken back. But the governor is actively involved in trying to find some type of resolution. The state said we have yet to receive an official denial letter, and we're not providing you anything because at the governor's directive, we're doing what we can to try to resolve this. He goes, we don't know if that's a matter of brick funding gets reallocated to another program, and like the projects that actually, what we think meet the criteria of funding get through, or we have to start over again. So talking to the FEMA guys, he sends me a couple links for a couple other FEMA programs that will at least get our irons in the fire that if it does fall through, we'll start over. It's silly to sit on our hands. We can't do that. As frustrating as this is, the enthusiasm in this is a little bit down right now. So you'd be silly to just say, given up. You talk to 70 years of personal knowledge of going out on an avenue in a canoe. I can't do that. That's not what we're here for. So we owe upon the citizens to rise up and overcome. If this comes down to that, it is something that we're taking, like I said, we're hitting a pothole and it's going to delay us for a couple of years. It's what we're going to have to do. The project is very large for us. It's over $7 million is our original estimate. The borough's general fund budget is $3.7 million. So it's double what we operate the town on. So to say it'll just take out a bond and pay for it, we couldn't afford the debt service without a tax increase would obviously be something, but the level of the tax increase would be on the list there. At least that's my opinion. And to the degree of Bridgeville rolling up its sleeves and doing something, Joe was spot on. We have done something. John, at our request, and your investment dedicated over $200,000 worth of engineering and legal work, and the amount of permitting that is involved in that was taken care of because we knew that going through the environmental reviews is going to take time, and the only thing we're going to see in today's economy is costs go up. So it's silly to sit on our hands and wait for a bunch of bureaucrats to say, yes, you pass environmental reviews, when the environmentalists, the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection, just gave us the environmental permit to do it. So when they made me go through environmental reviews, I figured, like, John's already been down that road, what's it hurt, So we have a lot invested to the degree where we can't stop. It's a heartache, but we'll find a way around it. But I'm hopeful that the governor, who seems as passionate as I am, that knows what's going on and is working and told his staff, do not release anything, I'm doing what I can. And that was right up from 3:30 this afternoon from a conversation with Pima. And if we had the attention of the governor to know what the hell he went through on Saturday, that speaks volumes. So I feel awful, but we're at the mercy of this. And Shane works, at the Army base, and he speaks of what they're going through there. So it isn't like all this just picked on Bridgeville. This is a national level, and it's going full circle back to what Councilwoman Cimaroli said. Everyone, where we at? Oh, we're safe, and we were safe till when I came in on April 4th. We were safe, and the axe chopped on us right now. But we're hopeful that if you've seen it with other cliche acts coming down, that things could be reversed. I'm praying, lighting a candle, asking the right people to do something. And the right people are at the table and doing something, but now it would be nice for the citizenry to reach out to those people so it isn't just the borough officials. So that's really where we're at.
Joe, if I just say one more thing, if we would have the rain in Bridgeville that Kentucky and Tennessee had last week, this borough building, which is in the flood zone, would be underwater. At least the downstairs would be. I'm not sure much in here. That's how much water. We were fortunate, God help us on that.
We were fortunate, and it is kind of ironic you say that, because if you followed my timeline, Friday, April 4th, is that the day that that night, April 3rd and April 4th, up the watershed in Washington County, they had 2 inches of rain overnight. And that caused Chartiers Creek to get very high, one of the highest levels it's been since April of last year. And Chartiers Creek it crested at right under 8 foot, and real time, shit hit the fan here. And it was at noontime, I get the letter from FEMA, and no lie, I'm calling the Public Works Department to get the tractors and get everything low out of Chartiers Park. Chartiers Park was on the verge of going underwater. Now granted, it's in the floodplain, it's gonna go underwater, but there's things we have to do to at least limit the losses and the work that's ahead of us. So the park is gonna go underwater. I'm dealing with trying to mitigate a flood, and then I got that crap coming in saying it's being taken away from me. So I knew what you said. It was stressful. And then thank God the rain stopped, that creek didn't go over 8 foot. Because we watched last year when we had the April floods that there's a creek gauge at Carnegie. Now Carnegie's downstream, but at least it gives you a good feel. And that creek gauge is it's as most scientific as I'm going to get. And when it crested at 8 foot last year, that's when Chartiers Park went under up here. So I watched, and we were at like 7 foot, 7.65, and I watched Shannon said, hey, can you let the BAA know you got to get the concession stand ready? It's going to go underwater. And then, thank God, the rain slowed down, and we didn't get over the 8 foot mark, where the park would have been under the same day. I get the message they're taking our grant back. So I get it. It was awful.
Deb, you have something to say?
I just want to ask, because, God forbid that it doesn't go through, but if it doesn't, do we have any recourse through litigation or anything? Or we just say, oh, well.
It's a political decision.
I mean, the governor is suing the federal government for other monies that have been rescinded, right? So.
Yeah, but this one here is the way that FEMA did their funding. This isn't your normal, I get a grant from the state, the grant sends me a contract, and then you go through. The way that the FEMA funding is awarded is that it's a competitive application process. And what Joe, great theatrics. That was the grant application for this project. It took us a couple rounds to get through, and then we worked together, John and I, we were able to get a decent project that scored well. And the way it works is that the state is actually the awardee for that project. We are a sub-applicant, and there was several others that were included in their BRIC funding for that year. What they end up doing is they say, hey, your project is selected. And then that's what they told us in August of 23, and they put on the FEMA's website, Bridgeville project selected, explains $5.33 million from the McLaughlin Run Flood Control Project. It it will build a levee, replace the culverts, includes this pumping system, and then you go into the process where they fine tune all the issues before they sign it. So they make us go through all the environmental reviews and historical property reviews. And then while you're doing the environmental reviews, we know it's going to take a year plus to do that. And we start the DEP and the Army Corps permits, and John was on the ball. And just how like everything is a link in a chain, to get the DEP permits, we need the property owner's easements. So Tom and I go meet with everyone, and we get the easements from everyone. And thank God we had a very engaged, loving citizenry that donated all their easements. No one even wanted a buck. So the buy-in was rather astonishing. It was a poster child of good government working together. The town not looking for handouts, we're rolling up our sleeves. The state came in and gave us $1 million on another competitive grant. We created our own flood fund and started budgeting like surpluses every year to save up for this project, and Lord forbid the next flood that's going to happen, versus using the fund balance. I was trying to be methodical enough to have a savings account so that, Lord forbid, it don't drain the general fund. So for a little town, I say little, we were able to see us rolling up our own sleeves and the citizens coming to the table, donating their land, the borough contributing hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's all right. So it wasn't anything to the town's fault. We're just stuck in this national debacle. That's it.
You need water?
No. I need a shrink.
And this is why we love our borough manager. So thank you for all the hard work, but
Let's hope that we come
hope
back next
that
month.
that's the case.
Yes, I'll just interject. I just want to thank Joe Power. I think I can speak for all of us on her humongous efforts and his passion and his persistence. We know that whatever happens, that's not going to stop. But as was mentioned in the statement, a lot of us have already reached out, but we would also ask that you do the same. And sometimes it's hard when you call a lot of those offices to get anybody, but by emails and like Mr. Valentino, mentioning some of the stories, sending the email to Senator Fennerman and Senator McCormick, I think that will be worth, more than a lot of us could say some of your personal stories that you passed on.
Thank you.
All right, let's go with the business at hand. Motion to approve March 10th, 2025 regular meeting minutes as submitted.
Make a motion. Second.
Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. A motion to approve the April 2025 bill list.
Make a motion. Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. A motion to adopt ordinance number 1033, an ordinance of the Borough of Bridgeville, Allegheny County, Pennsylvania, amending the Bridgeville Code of Ordinances, Chapter 1, Administration and Government, Part 3, Board and Commissioners, to add Article D, establishing the Bridgeville Borough Shade Tree Commission.
Make a motion.
Second?
Second.
Second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Motion to adopt resolution number 2025-2, a resolution of the Borough of Bridgeville authorizing the submission of the Pennsylvania Small Water and Sewer Program grant application for McLaughlin Run Flood Improvements Storm Sewer Improvements Project.
So moved.
Bill?
Second.
Shane? Any questions? Yes, Joe?
This is another, us trying to show we're trying to stretch that grant project. So John recommended this grant program that would essentially pay for, or help pay for the cost of the storm sewers. So to accommodate the pumping system, the storm sewers on this side of Carroll Avenue need to be upsized. And that's included in the FEMA project. The FEMA project pays 75%, so 25%. We have to find creative ways to pay for this 25%. If the bids come in higher than what they were, we have to find ways to do that. So this was us trying to carve this project out. So when we call that limits phase 1A, we have to find creative ways to phase 1 in a sub-phase. This is a project where it will do all the storm sewer work on this side. So it's a $650,000 project. We're seeking $500,000 that would do all the storm sewer work and to upsize all the pipes on this side that gets it ready for the pumps. Is that right?
Taking small bites as we can.
So we're
Trying to work, like
we're
you
gonna
said,
try
roll our
and find ways.
sleeves up and do what we can.
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. A motion to adopt resolution number 2025-3, a resolution of the Borough of Bridgeville applying to PennDOT for a banner permit to hang a banner over Washington Avenue promoting the 2025 Day on the Avenue event.
So moved.
Bill? Second. Jason? Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. A motion to adopt resolution number 2025-4, resolution of the Borough of Bridgeville authorizing the submission of a Pennsylvania Greenways, Trails, and Recreation Program grant application for the Chartiers Park Lighting Improvements Project.
I'll make that motion.
Shane?
Second.
Jason? Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. A motion to authorize the execution of change order number 1, final for the Center Street Sanitary Sewer Improvements Project, decreasing the contract by $16,040 based on the final in-place quantities and work performed.
I'll make that motion.
Jason?
Second.
Jason? Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. A motion to authorize the disbursement of $16,553.97 from the sewer fund to Edge AI Solutions for partial payment number 1 of the 2024 sanitary sewer OMM CCTV program.
I'll make a motion.
Shane?
Second.
And Jason? I'm sorry, Bruce, do you have something to say?
Aye.
Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. A motion to accept the lowest responsible bid received from Independent Enterprises in the amount of $333,917.50 for the base bid and add alternate number 1 of 2025 roadway improvements program, subject to the contractor obtaining the required insurance certificates, performance bond, payment bond, and review and approval of same by the borough solicitor prior to execution of the agreement by the borough.
So moved.
Bruce? Shane? Any questions? All in favor?
Aye. I got a question.
Yes, sir.
Joe, you might mention that we didn't come back lower than expected, that we were able to.
Yes.
you know,
Yeah, it does.
Maybe people would know that, that we did do some due diligence on having some things to be able to save some money for what was going on.
It worked out well, but the base bid came in lower than estimate. Our estimate for road paving was $330,000. The base bid came in, what, 288?
288.97.
And the base bid includes Mill Street. You start pretty much a quarter of the way up on Mill Street in the 700 block, go up Mill Street all the way to where it meets Main, and then Cook School Road, all up Cook School Road, up to Vesper, and then from Vesper to Ridge. So essentially one giant noodle all the way up, and that was 288. And then because it didn't reach our budget, majority of Orschlager Alley is being redone, and we're asking Orschlager to be included versus doing it in-house. There's a lot of drainage issues that are beyond our ability.
Thanks, Joe.
Any more questions? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. A motion to authorize disbursement of a real estate tax refunds due to a change in assessment to the following: Jamie Pouch, parcel 2255 L8052, years 2024 and 2023, totaling $254.80. Warehouse 630 LLC, parcel 255R271, year 2024, totaling $261.95.
Make a motion.
Second. And Bruce? Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. A motion to authorize the sale via public online auction at municipbid.com of surplus municipal vehicles. DPW Truck 1, 1985 GMC dump truck, and PD Car B4 2017 Ford Explorer SUV.
So moved.
Bruce?
Second.
And Jason? Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. A motion to accept and pay any commission due March 2025 real estate tax collector report.
So moved.
Bruce? And Jason? Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. A motion to acknowledge receipt of March 2025 treasurer's report.
I'll make a motion.
Shane
Second.
and Jason, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. A motion to accept all submitted March 2025 official reports.
So moved.
Bill and Shane. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Committee reports. Bruce?
Yeah, I don't have anything to report other than our office staff has really been getting work out with all this stuff going on, so I just want to commend them for doing that. That's all I have.
Okay, as far as finance, I don't have much other than the grants that we talked about, as well as the audit, 2024 audit has been completed, and Mark Turnley will present that at the May council meeting. That's all I have. Any questions for me? Parks and Rec, Shane.
Wait, how'd your trivia night go?
Trivia night went really well. We'll talk about that in the new business.
Franklin Winningham. Check your tapes. Parks and Rec we're in full swing of t-ball and baseball and softball season. As Joe Cower mentioned, we are all crossing our fingers on April 3rd and 4th. The rain didn't break over, but not to steal Mrs. Sarrazin's thunder, but the Parks guys, the Borough guys are down there helping out, and tremendous help. And special thanks to the acting chief of police right now, Officer James. He helped us. We had a little bit of vandalization down there. Officer James was able to handle it internally. The cameras did work. We did not unplug them this year like we did for the ice cream machine last year. So thank you. Individual was identified, and we're going to work it out amongst his parents. And I just want to thank everyone. It's been, like Joe said, it's been a community effort. It always is fun out in the park. Mr. Orion, it's been a while since I've seen you down there coaching. We need a t-ball coach.
My grandkids are up.
I know that they're signed up. I saw Katie signed up.
Yeah, they're up at
Yeah, if your clearances are still good, we'll bring you back. All right?
Oh, thank you.
That's you're welcome, sir. A little bit of good news. So, thanks, Joe, and everyone else involved.
Anything for Shane? Public Works?
Just a couple things real quick. I don't want to talk about park maintenance, it's already discussed. But they are going to the parks, cleaned up ready for the season. They actually had to replace some electrical conduit in a business district in a 500 block. It was caused by a streetlight issue. And they've been ongoing maintenance, filling potholes, and they're cleaning culverts, and also cleaning the trash rack before the storm and after the storm. Keep everything flowing good. And with that in mind, you guys doing a great job. We're busy all day long.
Any questions for Jason? Public Safety, Bill.
Yeah, since flooding is a public safety issue, I'm going to make a brief comment that I recognize there are 3 councilmen, former councilmen in the audience out here that contributed significantly to our efforts of flood mitigation in the past. And I sure hope your efforts weren't in vain. That's all I'll say, but I appreciate what you guys brought to the table.
Thank you.
That's it.
Okay, anything for Bill? Charles Westcott, Jason?
Nothing to report.
Okay. Mayor Betty?
I was invited today to Charters Valley Primary School. Rochelle Terrett and her children have written another book. This one is the story of Honus Wagner, and she gave me a book to present to the Bridgeville Library. Thank you.
Okay, anything for Mayor Betty? Police Department, Sergeant James.
Yeah, my monthly report. I'm not to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions? Mr. McDermott.
Likewise, I have nothing to add in my written report.
Okay. Well, not last. Engineer John Allen.
Thank you, Mr. President. You have a copy of my report. There's 2 updates. The Station Street EDA ramp project, we're finalizing the documents, waiting for the cost to be listed, their schedule. And then I got confirmation via the schedule that the Craig Street stairs should be starting next week.
Anything for our engineer?
How's the bump house doing? Good?
It's always under construction.
A lot of big signs up there. There's a big judge around.
There's a
Just
lot
put up
going
some
on.
political signage. That will slow down traffic.
Yeah, Bank Street's busy. You got the bump outs, Elm Street water main, and then the water companies were storing Grandview, and then Elizabeth Street. And then the Public Works is in the middle trying to get the catch basins done on those streets that they're being done. So we have all these contractors actually working together really well.
The grass cutting you started, I saw it. We had mentioned grass cutting, I didn't want to steal your thunder. That's on you.
Okay, fire department's not here, so we'll skip them. Southbridge, Dan.
Nothing to add to my report.
Okay. Anybody from the Historical Society today?
The program for April at the fire department on April 29th is the general, the major, and the sergeant, presented by Glenn Flickinger, a story of 3 men of the 116th Infantry Regiment. So we hope you will attend. And we also have our caps and new shirts for sale at the Bridgeville Historical Society. They're open Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, 10 to 2. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Bridgeville Library, Aaron.
You have my report and the annual report as well. This month, we have our raffle going on. It started today. You get 25 tickets for $20. All proceeds benefit the library. We also have our spring book sale coming up. That'll be Friday and Saturday, the 25th and 26th, from 10 to 4. And it will be a donation-based bag sale. We will be accepting book donations right up until the start of the book sale. And that is all I have.
Okay,
Can I
thank you.
interject one thing, Jeff?
Sure, go ahead.
So the board of trustees for the library's meeting is tomorrow at 7, but the meeting's going to start early at 6:30 for anyone who might be interested. We're looking to possibly try to have a 5K event in Bridgeville initially over the first couple of years to benefit the library, because the library has been in some financial distress, which we're working through. So if any guys are interested, 6:30 tomorrow at the library, 6:30 to 7, there's a meeting, just to brainstorm some ideas. Nothing's formal or anything, but we're hoping to get the ball rolling.
Okay, thank you. Parking Authority, Deb.
Before I start my report for the fire department, Cash Bash, May 3rd, there are very limited tickets. I mean, they called, I had 4 left for my 3 books, and they called for them. So, if you want to go, get your tickets. All right, Parking Authority will be meeting here next Monday at 7 o'clock. The remaining 2 lights that we need in Lot 1 are on order, and they will be installed sometime this year. Landscaping in the lots that are owned by us began in April. I believe quite a few of them are done already. The lot asphalt patching is being monitored and completed when allowable and necessary. And during the month of April, the 1 handicap space from the back area of Lot 2 is going to be moved to the front entrance where we took out the damaged curb. There's also going to be 3 5-minute pickup spots placed in front of restaurants in Lot 2 to accommodate restaurants' takeout business. These spaces will be strictly enforced with a fine amount of $50. And last but certainly not least, the BZPA continues to operate in the black.
Any questions for Deb? Thank you, Deb. Melissa, can I assume you're the planning commission today?
Yep, I'm the entire planning commission today. So we're continuing work on the downtown zoning district project. That'll be going on through summer into the early fall. We had a meeting last week with the local business owners, and that went really well, and their recommendations will become part of the proposal. Joe had asked us if we would work on a planting plan for the Bank Street bump outs. So we're going to be working on that. I think we'll probably talk about that in the April meeting. And then we have been discussing ideas for South End streetscaping, and we've decided that we're getting some good ideas from Mackin as part of the zoning, so we're kind of folding that into that work. The pollinator garden, we have our first planting date scheduled for May 17th, so we have a group of volunteers who are going to help with that. And in the meantime, so between now and then, we'll be prepping the space and getting it ready to put the plants in. That's it.
Any questions from Melissa? And I don't know if you want to speak anymore, but it's your report.
I don't have anything other than my written report, and just what Melissa said, thanks to everyone that came out and participated at the zoning charrette last week. It was a really nice turnout, good conversation. It was a good meeting. Thank you.
Okay. Any new business? Just waiting. All right, can I have a motion for adjournment? So moved. So moved. And Bruce.